What's going on, YouTube? This is Brian with Canvas the Town. Now, I know you guys probably saw that title, that clickbait, and are like, what do you mean I need two of the same weapon? And here, I'm going to show you right now. So I'm using currently I'm using the best ice horn right now. So no matter what weapon you play, as long as you're playing element, you're going to want two different augments. And there's no way to quick save different augments, like augmentation status. You can't set a loadout, so you literally need two different ones, assuming that it is something that doesn't have this level 3 rampage slot, because the damage that you get on monster parts that are over 25 is substantial, and I will show you right now. First, we're gonna go ahead. We have our 3 curio yet? I'm counting just 2, so we're gonna hold up just a little bit, and I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so we got our 3 curio. So this is the Ellen Bane set. So this one has 234 raw, elemental, and we're gonna see how much damage we do. So the stomach is a hit zone of 20. So we're doing 120, 123. Let's spam it a little bit. So we're doing 196 on the head. It's important to note right there with the shockwaves. Yeah, 196, which is very nice. So we got 196 on the head, and we're averaging a little under 130, like 121s, 126 on the stomach, which is a hit zone value of 20. The head's of hit zone value of 30, so we're getting that extra element exploit boost on the head. See that we're even getting 200s there. Really nice additional damage. That 15% damage stacks really well, and you do really good damage. So let's switch it over. Now I believe when I go to my loadout here, click, so this one right here is the element exploit one, and now I have the dragon ice. This one is just completely plus 45 element. I'll show you right here. Plus 45 element, a little bit of free raw, and let's take a look at the damage across the board as well. So I get my Silkbind Shockwave off. So as you can see, I am actually doing 130 on the belly. I am doing more damage to the belly, and I'm doing a little less damage to the head. So what does this mean, right? What am I trying to say here? So for some monsters, you're totally going to want to have the Ellen Bane exploit for the max damage. You're doing a considerable more amount of damage with that. So for a monster, for example, like even Great Azuchi, you're going to do really big damage on his head. He's not very big, so it might not make a difference either way. He's not a great example. But here's a good example. Great Baggy, you're going to want your element exploit, okay? And for Kuliyaku, you're absolutely not. But you're still going to blow him up with element. But you don't want to use element exploit because he has a max hit zone value of 20, right? So you're going to want to use that first set, the dragon ice, or whatever you're using. In this case, it would be water. So you'd be using a plus 45 augmented water piece versus running with Ellen Bane. So you kind of want to have 2 sets in Title Update 4 of Sunbreak. And, I mean, your set is the same, but your augments have to change, which means you need a whole other weapon, which is like, whoa. I mean, hopefully they address that, and they can let us set loadouts with different augments on our weapon, because yeesh, you know, like, whoof. That's it's a lot of grinding you got to do. As you can see here, I mean, you're almost always hitting his upper half, and 4-leg is a hunting horn, so it's pretty good to use the Ellen Bane here. Lagombi, pretty okay with the Ellen Bane if you're getting his head. I mean, if you hit him in the back, it's not really going to do anything for you. So, I mean, most of the time, you do want Ellen Bane, but there's going to be times where you don't. You know, here you really want him. Ellen Bane looks good, hitting that head and hitting the tail and the torso. Ellen Bane is good for him. I mean, you're going to smack him in the head. He's Daimyo. What are you talking about? He dies in like a minute. And, you know, he's good with Ellen Bane. You know, this guy is decent with Ellenbane. I mean, you're smacking him all over the place all the time, though. So, I mean, for the most part, if a monster like this monster only has one hit zone over, you know, in the element exploit range, I personally would just run the raw against him because I'm not always going to hit his head. And then everything else I hit, I'm going to do a few more points of damage. So it kind of evens itself out, if you see what I'm saying. I feel like you do a little more damage leaning towards full plus 45 augment, and that's element augment level 7. You're going to get more value on a monster with just one hit zone at 25 versus losing out on some raw element to just have you know, one hit zone where you're doing increased damage and everywhere else you're doing decreased damage. So it kind of doesn't help there. It's really, really valuable on a monster that has exclusively high value hit zones, which is almost, it's like almost nobody. I mean, most monsters don't have like all around high value hit zones. They have a couple of zones that are really good to hit. So like by and large, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not a speedrunner, but I'm doing the math here, and the math says that, you know, running just the full raw augment is gonna do the trick most of the time and is gonna be more damage than running the exploit. But when you can run the exploit build, the damage will be supreme. It will be better than the ice build. But that's because they're already heinously weak to element. So what Title Update 4 gave us was, you know, with the dragon conversion skill, allowing us to boost our element to obscene levels. You know, that's really changed the way that I view how you should play the game, because you can use element against monsters with hit zone values of 10 and 15 and blow them up, you know, and do like big damage. You know, I'm thinking of Astalos is a great example. I mean, the man doesn't have a hit zone value over 15, but I bring the Ice Horn to Astalos and he is having a bad time. Okay, he's having a bad time. Espinas has no weaknesses on paper, right? He's got nothing. But you bring that fully augmented elemental horn and he gets upset and he just blows up. Like Flaming Espinas, same thing, yeah. They both, like, they get mad. Ice for him, water for him. They both blow up to element. And these are not high elemental weaknesses at all. I mean, granted, I believe when they get angry, they raises. But even when they're not mad, you're doing decent damage and you're taking them off pretty quick. It's element is the way now, which is really cool and very rewarding, you know, to actually look at the monsters and see what's most worthy, what element you should go for, or what part you're going to focus on, so you're going to use that element over that element. You know, I like how there's many different options. The element system is really, really cool, but it's just really annoying that you have to make two of the exact same weapon to optimize per monster. And, you know, I mean, if you're, maybe this isn't something you care about and you just go one way or the other. And of course, I do want to mention there is weapons that have it all, right? You have, like, for example, this fire build. It has a level 3 deco, I believe, just off the rip, yeah. So it's already got element exploit, and you get to have your max element augment. So you just, you know, you have your cake and eat it too with some of your weapons. But for the most part, you're going to have to make sacrifices. Like, here's one. I know the Crimson Clearwing definitely has a 2 slot. This has a 3 slot. This has a 2 slot. I think the water has a 3 slot. And Skyrimmer, yeah, this definitely has a 2 slot. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Narwa's Horn has a 2 slot. It sure does. It sure does. Alright, yeah, so that was pretty much what I wanted to say to you guys. What do you think? Do you think that element right now, that it makes sense to make 2 horns? Or should Capcom add something, like add a way for us to change our augments in our loadout? Like, do you think that's a good idea? Do you think I'm tripping entirely? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Alright, thanks guys. Peace out.